The lie that opened hearts. It started with a whisper. On a quiet Monday morning, the elevators to the 27th floor of Reeves Media opened, and people walked in with coffee cups, laptops, and sleepy faces. They didn't know the man who usually arrived first wouldn't be at his desk today. The man who smiled at the janitor, who held the door open for interns, who remembered birthdays without checking a calendar was missing. Keanu Reeves didn't show up. Not just that, his office lights were off. His assistant, Lena, sat with her hands folded tightly, her face pale, her eyes darting toward the glass door every few minutes. No message, no call, no morning joke. In the break room, people whispered, "Maybe he's sick. He never takes a day off." Did anyone hear anything? But no, one knew. Not really. Deep in the hills outside Los Angeles, Keanu was home. Not sick, not on vacation, just watching, testing. The decision had been heavy on his heart for weeks. He wasn't doing it to catch anyone, not to trick or punish. He was doing it because something had changed. He felt it in the hallways, the energy, the silence when he walked by, the way people stopped smiling when they thought he wasn't looking. It wasn't like before. Reeves Media had started with just 6 people, a single room, old furniture, a dream to tell honest stories, lift people up, give back. Now there were over 300 employees, for floors, international clients, money, power, prestige. But somewhere, in the noise of success, the warmth had faded. Keanu missed it. He missed the feeling of knowing everyone's story. He missed hearing laughter in the halls. He missed the way people used to talk to him, not carefully, but honestly. So he made a choice. He told Lena to inform the staff that he had caught a serious flu and would be home for an unknown amount of time. He would not take calls, not read emails. He needed full rest. But in truth, he wasn't resting. He turned off the cameras in his house, unplugged his phone, and watched from the shadows. He had a friend, Jamie, a retired producer, who agreed to visit the office in disguise, pretending to be a contractor, someone who would observe, quietly, unnoticed, and report back. The first day was strange. People moved slower. There was confusion. His senior management held a meeting in the boardroom, but no one spoke with authority. There were murmurs of who would lead things in his absence. Tom, the operations head, said it might be time to restructure. Someone joked, not kindly, "Maybe now we can finally make real decisions." Jamie sat in a corner, holding a clipboard, pretending to inspect ceiling panels. She watched. She saw one of the marketing heads, Devin, close his door all morning and do nothing. She saw the junior editors being told to figure it out when they asked for help. She saw a new intern named Maya cry quietly in the bathroom after being blamed for something she didn't understand. She wrote everything down. But then something unexpected happened. Around noon, Lena stood up. She walked into the open workspace, cleared her throat, and said, "I know everyone's confused, but we can still do our best. Keanu built this place with trust and kindness. We owe him that, no matter what's going on." Most people looked down. No one answered. But later that day, Maya, the intern, came to Lena's desk. "I want to stay," she said softly. "I want to help. He gave me a chance when no one else did. I don't care if people yell. I'll do double work." And she did. By Tuesday, Keanu was already seeing the cracks. Lena called him in tears, whispering that some teams were falling apart, that there were talks of canceling charity projects, that the budget team had quietly pulled funding from a documentary Keanu had been working on for months, a story about a homeless musician in Chicago. "They said it's not profitable," Lena said. "They think you won't notice." Keanu sat on the floor of his living room, hands clasped, staring out the window. What had happened? These were people he trusted, people he promoted, people he helped during their hardest times. He remembered Tom, the same man now talking about restructuring, who once called him crying after his divorce. Keanu had flown him to Hawaii to rest, paid for the therapy, no questions asked. He remembered Devin, whose daughter needed heart surgery. Keanu paid for it without a word. And now they were circling like wolves. Jamie called him that evening. "It's worse than you thought," she said. "They're already making plans." Someone even suggested you might not return. He closed his eyes, and then he asked, anyone showing heart? She paused, then said, yes, Maya and Lena. They're holding the line. That night, Keanu sat alone by his fireplace. He thought about what to do. This wasn't just a test for his company. It was a test for himself, because part of him wanted to walk away, to disappear quietly, to leave the wolves to eat each other. He had enough money to live in peace forever. But another part of him, the part that still believed in people, still hoped, refused to give up. The next morning, he didn't check his messages. Instead, he went out. He dressed plainly, sunglasses, hoodie, and he visited the food truck 2 blocks from the office, the one he used to go to before meetings. He stood behind 2 workers from his own company. They didn't recognize him. One said, I think we're better off without him. The other laughed. Yeah, maybe the flu finishes the job. Keanu didn't say a word. He just nodded to the vendor, took his food, and walked away. His heart ached. But then, at a stoplight, he saw Maya. She was carrying boxes, her small frame barely able to lift them. No one helped her. Cars passed. People ignored her. He parked his car and got out, still hidden by his hoodie. He walked up and said, need help? She looked up, surprised. It's okay. I can manage. You sure? He asked, honestly, no. But I'll try. He helped her lift the boxes to the building steps. When she said thank you, he nodded and walked away. She never knew. It was him. Inside his chest, something stirred. Something painful. Something good. Back home, Lena sent a quiet message. Maya stayed until midnight to finish the musician film. She said you believed in it, so she believes too. Keanu closed his laptop. That night, he made a decision. He would return. But not as their boss. Not yet. He would come in as a janitor. A quiet one. A new face. Someone nobody paid attention to. And through that silence, he would learn the truth. And maybe remind them of what this place was meant to be. The janitor who watched everything. Thursday morning came with clouds hanging low over the city. It was the kind of gray that made everything feel heavier. But inside Reeves Media, no one noticed the sky. They were too busy. Emails flew. Meetings dragged. Voices rose behind glass walls. People rushed past each other without looking. No one noticed the new janitor pushing a quiet cart down the hallway. He wore faded blue coveralls, a cap pulled low over his brow. He limped slightly, not from pain, but to keep the disguise believable. His gloves were loose. His name tag simply read, Ken. But behind the tired eyes and bent posture was Keanu Reeves. Not a single person recognized him, and that was the point. He moved slowly, emptying bins, wiping surfaces, listening. It didn't take long to see what his company had become. On the 26th floor, he overheard Devon, the head of marketing, laughing with 2 other executives. He's probably at some fancy clinic, drinking soup, Devon said. Meanwhile, we finally get to run this place like adults. They all laughed. Keanu tightened his grip on the mop handle. Later, in the staff kitchen, he found Maya reheating leftovers. She smiled at him and said, Hi, are you new? He nodded and said softly, Just started today. Rough place, she said, but don't let it get to you. Thanks, he replied, touched by her kindness. What's your name? She asked. Ken, I'm Maya. He smiled. Nice to meet you. She offered him a piece of banana, bread from a foil-wrapped slice. My mom made it, she said. She says people who mop floors deserve more sweetness than most. He took it. She sounds wise. She is. After she left, Keanu stood there a long time, holding the bread. It had been a long time since anyone gave him something without wanting something back. Around lunch, he walked past Lena's desk. She looked tired. Her screen was filled with spreadsheets, red numbers everywhere. Next to her, a half-finished sandwich sat forgotten. Two men walked by and whispered, She's next. Can't carry this alone. He moved on. In the boardroom, Tom was leading a meeting. We can cut the charity program this quarter, Tom said. Reeves won't know. Let's move those funds to the Hong Kong project. Someone asked. What about the promises we made to the shelter? We'll send flowers. The room laughed. Keanu wrote it all down in his small notebook. He didn't want revenge. He wanted truth. He wanted to see who still remembered what this place stood for. On the next floor down, he found Jamie, still undercover as a contractor. They exchanged a quick glance. No words. Just understanding. By the end of the day, Keanu had watched more than he wanted. He had seen kindness ignored. He had seen pressure break people's backs. He had seen empty eyes and forced smiles. But he had also seen Maya help an elderly security guard lift a box. He had seen Lena slip a $20 bill into a broken vending machine so no one would go hungry. And he had seen a junior editor named Daniel help cover for a nervous intern during a client call. He held on to those moments because they were real. That night, in the dark janitor's closet where he took his break, Keanu sat on an overturned bucket, eating a sandwich he made himself. He opened his notebook and wrote one word: hope. Then he heard voices just outside. "You know that new janitor," one said. "Something's weird about him." "What, you think he's corporate spy?" "Nah, he just watches too much." Keanu smiled in the dark. The next day, Friday, brought a storm. Heavy rain splashed against the tall windows. Traffic was slow. Tempers were shorter. People began to complain. Keanu kept sweeping. In the hallway, he saw Tom again, yelling at a junior developer. "You're lucky to be here at all," he shouted. The young man looked down, his shoulders trembling. Keanu stepped forward, pushing his mop, then accidentally spilled his bucket near Tom's feet. Water splashed his expensive shoes. Tom jumped back. "Watch it, old man." "Sorry," Keanu said quietly. "Bad grip." "Just stay out of the way," Tom muttered, storming off. The young developer looked up, his eyes full of surprise. Keanu winked. Then walked on. But that night, everything changed. Maya stayed late again, working on the documentary that management had abandoned. She had found old footage, beautiful footage, of the musician smiling, playing in the subway, laughing with kids. She edited it together quietly, humming to herself. Then she heard voices. In the dark corner room, Devin and Tom were talking. "You sure about this?" Devin asked. "Yes, next week. We cut her and Lena, then take their departments. Smooth move. We'll say it's for budget reasons." Maya froze. She recorded it on her phone. Barely breathing. Keanu, nearby, had seen her freeze. He waited until they left. Then walked to her. "Are you okay?" he asked. She looked at him, wide-eyed. "They're going to fire Lena," she whispered. He nodded. "I know." "How do you know?" He looked at her a long time. Then he said, "Because I've been watching." "Who are you?" He took off his cap, and for the first time, she saw him. Her mouth dropped open. "Keanu." "Yes." She blinked, stunned. "But why?" "Because I needed to see for myself. Who still remembers? Who still cares?" Maya stared at him. Then tears filled her eyes. "You believed in me," she whispered, "when no one else did." He nodded. "And I still do." "What now?" she asked. He looked down the hallway and said, "Now we tell the truth." The quiet plan begins. The rain had stopped, but inside Reeves Media, the storm was just beginning. Early Saturday morning, the building stood mostly empty. Only a few lights were on. The cleaning crew moved quietly through the halls. Keanu Reeves stood near the back entrance, wearing the janitor's uniform one last time. Beside him stood Maya, holding her phone tightly. The recording she had captured the night before was saved in 3 places, including us, in her pocket. Keanu looked at her and said softly, "What we do next, we do carefully. No drama, no shouting. We just let the truth speak." Maya nodded. "Do you trust me?" he asked. "I did before I knew who you were," she said, smiling. "Now I trust you even more." He smiled back. They walked through the quiet building to Lena's office. Lena was already there, eyes red from no sleep, papers scattered across her desk. When she saw Keanu, her mouth opened but no words came out. Her eyes welled with tears, and she stood slowly. "You're not sick," she whispered. "No," he said gently. "And I'm sorry I made you carry so much. I had to know." She sat down heavily, looking at the man she had worked beside for years. "They're trying to take everything," she said. "The kindness, the soul of this place. They think you're gone. Then we show them I'm not, Keanu said. They sat together for an hour, going through everything Maya had recorded. Everything Lena had documented: emails, canceled projects, secret budget shifts. The picture became clear. Tom and Devin had been slowly cutting out anyone who stood for integrity. They were replacing kindness with control, trust with fear. We won't confront them directly, Keanu said. We'll let their own words do the talking. They made a plan. By Sunday evening, Lena called a company-wide emergency Monday meeting on behalf of the board. She said it was about financial restructuring. Everyone was required to attend. Meanwhile, Keanu reached out to a few trusted employees from the early days, people who had helped him build the company, people who still remembered what it stood for. He didn't tell them everything, just enough, and they agreed to be there. Monday morning came fast. The building buzzed with tension. People whispered in corners. Rumors spread. Some said Lena was being fired. Others said the company was being sold. That no one expected Keanu to walk in through the front door. Wearing a simple black jacket, calm as ever, he stepped into the lobby like he had never left. Gasps followed him. Phones froze in people's hands. He smiled politely, nodded. Then walked straight to the conference room. Inside, Tom and Devin sat at the head of the table, pretending to be calm. They stood when they saw him, faking surprise. Keanu, Tom said, forcing a smile. Well, this is unexpected. You look better, Devin added quickly. We're so glad you're feeling. Spare it, Keanu said quietly, taking a seat. Please. The room went silent. People shifted uncomfortably in their chairs. Lena walked in next, followed by Maya. Then one by one, the early team arrived. Paul from archives, Jasmine from audio, Josh from the old editing bay. Their presence filled the room with something that hadn't been felt in weeks: memory, loyalty, truth. Keanu stood. Thank you all for coming, he began. I want to start with an apology. To Lena, to Maya, to everyone who has worked with honesty while I stepped away. He paused, scanning the room. You were told I was sick, and in a way, I was. But not in the body. I was sick in the heart. I felt this place slipping away. Not the walls or the money, but the spirit. Some looked down. Others stared at him, unmoving. So I disappeared, he said, not to rest, but to watch, to see who we've become. He turned to Maya. Maya, would you please play the recording? Her hands trembled slightly as she connected her phone to the speakers. Then Tom's voice echoed through the room. We cut her and Lena. Then take their departments. Smooth move. Say it's for budget reasons. Followed by Devin's laughter. Gasps. Someone whispered, oh my God. Keanu said nothing. He let silence speak. Tom stood up, face red. This is taken out of context. Sit down. Keanu said gently, you've said enough. Devin opened his mouth to argue, but no words came for weeks. Keanu continued, I swept your floors, emptied your trash, listened to your meetings, not as your boss, but as the man who built this company. He looked at Lena, then Maya, and while some tried to tear it down, others were quietly saving it. He turned to the rest of the team. I'm not firing anyone today. People looked around, surprised. Not yet, he added, because what we need is not punishment, it's clarity. He walked to the window, staring out at the city. Each of you will decide what kind of company this is. Not me, not Tom, not Devin, you. He turned back. In 1 week, I want every department to present what they stand for, what they've done, what they plan to do, not for profit, but for people. Show me who you are. He looked directly at Tom and Devin. And if you truly believe in your methods, you'll welcome the light. They didn't respond. After the meeting, the office buzzed like never before. Maya was flooded with messages. Thank you. We didn't know. We want to help. Lena cried quietly in her office. Tears not of sorrow, but of release. Keanu went back to his desk for the first time in days. There was a note on it. A sticky yellow square, written in pencil. It said, thank you for not giving up on us. He smiled, but the battle wasn't over. Behind closed doors, Tom and Devin whispered again. We have a week, Tom said. Let's find something on him, dig up old contracts, mistakes, anything. They didn't know Maya had left her. Phone recording again. Or that Keanu had learned one powerful truth. Kindness listens, but it never sleeps. 7 days of truth building felt different. There was still tension, but something had shifted. Like the first breeze after a long heat wave. Something real, something honest. It moved through the halls, passed from person to person, silent, but strong. It started with Maya. On Tuesday morning, she stood in front of the creative team, holding a flash drive. "This," she said, "is the story of a street musician Keanu believed in. Management tried to cancel it. I finished it." She played the video. No music, no fancy edits. Just a man smiling, playing a broken guitar in a cold Chicago subway. Kids danced around him. Strangers dropped coins, not just for music but for warmth. When it ended, the room was silent. Then someone clapped. Then another. Then everyone. By noon, Daniel from editing joined her. Then two interns. Then the sound engineer. They cleaned up the edit, added subtitles, made it better. By Wednesday, it had 10,000 views on the company's backup channel. Then 50,000. Comments flooded in. "I was having the worst day until I saw this. Thank you for reminding me what hope sounds like." Keanu watched quietly from his office. He didn't comment. He just smiled. But not everyone was smiling. Tom and Devin were meeting in secret. "That film wasn't approved," Tom said. "We should flag it." Devin replied, "Take it down. Too late. It's viral now. If we touch it, it'll look bad." Then we dig. Dig what? Keanu's past. Anything. They spent the next 2 days going through old contracts, charity records, old emails, searching for something to twist, something to turn against him. But all they found were kindnesses, one by one. Receipts of meals paid for sick staff, letters of recommendation for fired employees who needed second chances. Signed checks for families who lost loved ones. No scandals. Just grace. But they kept digging. On Thursday, Lena gathered the operations team. She stood in front of the boardroom and said, "We've been hiding behind numbers. Today, we speak as people." She clicked on ASLIDESHOW. Instead of charts, she showed photos. Photos of the first year of Reeves Media. 6 people in folding chairs, pizza boxes on the floor. Keanu asleep on the couch after a late-night edit. "We forgot why we're here," Lena said. "It wasn't just business. It was story, heart, second chances. It was people like Maya, like Daniel, like each of you. Some cried. Others just stared. We can still be that place," she said. By Friday, departments all over the building were preparing their presentations. Each one not about profits, but about purpose. Maya and Daniel led the video team. Lena supported HR and outreach. Even the janitorial staff, those who had watched in silence for years, put together a short film. In it, they told stories about the late nights they worked while others slept. They showed broken chairs they had fixed, lights they replaced without thanks, spills they cleaned without a word. "We keep the heart of this place clean," one of them said. The building buzzed with truth. But in the dark, Tom and Devin made their move. They sent an anonymous email to the board. A long list of accusations. Keanu forged documents, it said. He misused funds, favored employees unfairly, broke privacy rules. None of it was true, but the email was detailed, believable, dangerous. The board scheduled a private review for Sunday. Keanu was told to prepare his defense. When Lena heard, she stormed into his office. "They're trying to bury you," she said. Again, he stayed calm. "Let them try. But what if they believe it? Then I walk away," he said. Maya stepped in. "You can't. I won't beg to stay," he said gently. This company should survive on truth, not fear. They sat in silence until Lena whispered, "Then let's give them truth." The next morning, Sunday, the conference room was full. The board sat on one side. Keanu sat alone on the other. Tom and Devin stood by the door, arms folded. Maya, Lena, and Daniel stood just outside. "Mr. Reeves," one board member began, "we've received serious claims." He raised a hand. "May I show you something first?" He clicked a remote. A screen lit up. A video played. Not of him. But of Tom and Devin, talking in hushed voices, plotting, Laughing, the full recording, the same voices, the same words. Clear as day. Gasps. Then silence. Keanu turned to the board. I don't fight with words, he said. I let the truth fight for me. The board didn't speak. They didn't have to. Within an hour, Tom and Devin were suspended pending investigation. Security escorted them out. They didn't look back. Keanu walked into the hallway where Maya and Lena waited. He didn't say a word. They didn't need him to. Maya simply said, "We're still here." And they were. That evening, Keanu stood on the rooftop. The sun was setting. The city was quiet below. He breathed in the warm air. Then behind him, the elevator door opened. One by one, employees stepped out, not because they were called, but because they wanted to be there. They brought food, music, stories. Someone brought a cake that said thank you for not giving up. Keanu smiled. For the first time in weeks, he truly felt home. But the story wasn't over yet, because the next morning, someone unexpected walked into the office. A woman with gray hair, a face that looked familiar. And in her hand, a letter that would change everything. The letter from the past Monday morning began softly, like the quiet after a long storm. Sunlight filtered through the glass walls of Reeves Media, and the halls that were once cold with tension now hummed with quiet purpose. Teams were smiling again. Doors stayed open. People helped without being asked. In the middle of this gentle morning, the elevator chimed. A woman stepped out. She moved slowly, her steps graceful, steady. Her hair was silver, tied in a low braid. Her clothes were simple dark pants, a soft beige sweater, a bag held close to her side. No badge, no appointment. But her eyes, they were steady like stone. She walked up to the front desk. "I'm looking for Keanu," she said softly. The receptionist blinked. "May I ask who you are?" "His mother." The entire floor seemed to freeze for a second. A minute later, Lena appeared at the lobby with wide eyes. "Please, come with me," she said gently. Upstairs, Keanu sat reviewing edits for the street musician documentary, now reaching nearly 1 million views. When Lena knocked, he looked up. "There's someone here to see you," she said softly. "You'll want to sit down." But he didn't. He walked to the door. And saw her. "Mom," he whispered. They hadn't spoken in nearly 10 years. She stepped forward, smiling gently. "Hello, son." Keanu didn't move for a second. Then slowly, he reached out and hugged her. Not fast, not dramatic, but tight, like something old was breaking loose from inside. They sat in his office, alone. She handed him a letter. It was old, yellowed at the edges. "Your father wrote this before he passed," she said. "He asked me to deliver it when the time was right." Keanu held the letter like it might vanish. "Why now?" he asked. She looked into his eyes. "Because you're ready." He opened it slowly. His father's handwriting was shaky but familiar. The letter was short. "Dear son, I spent my life chasing power and left behind everything else. I see now, too late, that success without soul is just an empty room. I watch what you built, and I'm proud. But beware the walls, they have a way of changing the ones who build them. Stay human, son. Stay small inside, even when the world gets big. If you forget who you are, go back to the beginning." Keanu closed the letter slowly. His mother touched his hand. "You've remembered who you are," she said. "But there are still some who haven't." They spoke for an hour. When she left, she stopped by Maya's desk. "Thank you for standing by him," she said. Maya nodded, overwhelmed. "He stood by me first." The day moved on. In the creative wing, the final edit of the street musician film was uploaded with a new title, "A Song for Those the World Forgets." Keanu watched it from his office, quietly wiping away a tear. But outside, something else was happening. Tom and Devin were gone, but not everyone had changed. A man named Ralph, quiet, calculating, head of external partnerships, began gathering whispers in corners. He wasn't loud. He didn't make jokes. But he watched. He had been with the company for years. Never close to Keanu, never against him either. Just there. He believed in numbers, in strategy, not emotion. When Tom was removed, Ralph saw an opportunity. He had connections to outside investors, ones who had always wanted a bigger piece. of Reeves Media, ones who believed the company was wasting potential with all its charity films and heartwarming stories. Ralph began contacting them. He told them, the boss is emotional, unstable. The company is vulnerable. He showed them the numbers. How the Hong Kong project could double profits. How the musician film, though viral, wasn't monetized. How there was no proper leadership chain anymore. They listened. And on Friday morning, they sent a letter to the board. An offer to buy out the company. All of it. In cash. Lena found the letter first. She ran to Keanu's office, face pale. They're trying to take it, she said. Dropping the letter on his desk, he read it once. Then twice. It was real. A full takeover bid. If the board accepted, Reeves Media would become part of a global network. Keanu would become an advisor. Powerless. The staff would be reassessed. Most would be cut. He sat back. Who's behind this? He asked. Maya walked in behind Lena. She held up her phone. We found something. She played a recording. Ralph's voice, talking to investors over a private call, promising them full control, promising to remove the emotional core. Keanu listened. And then, he stood. He didn't yell. He didn't panic. He simply said, call a full staff meeting. Within an hour, everyone was gathered. Even those working remotely joined the video call. Keanu stood at the front, calm, clear. He held the buyout letter in his hands. This, he said, is what fear does. It knocks when things are starting to heal. It waits until hearts are open. And then it strikes. He paused. They want to buy this place. Take everything we've built. Turn it into something cold, profitable, empty. Murmurs filled the room. But we're not for sale, he continued. Not this, not us, not our stories. Then Maya played Ralph's recording. Gasps again. Ralph, standing at the edge of the room, turned pale. You're fired, Keanu said. Calmly. Security moved toward Ralph, but he stepped out quietly, without protest. Keanu looked around. I know we've been through a storm, but storms clean the sky. They don't break the earth beneath. He took a deep breath. Now we rebuild. People stood. Clapped. Some cried. And in the corner, unnoticed, Keanu's mother stood near the back, smiling. That night, Keanu sat alone in his office. On the wall hung a photo of the company's first day. 6 people, 1 dream. He looked at the photo, then at the present. And whispered, we're not done yet. But little did he know, someone else was watching, and they were about to test his strength one more time. The final test. Monday morning arrived with sunlight painting gold across the glass towers of downtown Los Angeles. Inside Reeves Media, laughter echoed softly. Keyboards clicked with purpose. Coffee mugs clinked. It felt alive again. Wounded, maybe, but alive. Keanu Reeves stood by his office window, sipping tea. The letter from his father sat on the desk. Beside him. Outside, the Street Musician documentary had crossed 3 million views. More important than numbers were the comments. I showed this to my son. He stopped crying. This reminded me why I started playing music. Thank you, Maya. Thank you, Keanu. The building buzzed with hope. But not everyone had moved on. Ralph was gone. Tom and Devin were out. But there was still damage to repair. Trust didn't return with a speech. It returned with choices. And one final choice was about to appear. It came wrapped in silence. On Tuesday morning, Lena entered Keanu's office holding a small white envelope. Her hands trembled slightly. This arrived for you, she said. No return address. Keanu took it gently. Inside was a single folded page. Typed words. No name. You still have enemies inside. One of your oldest partners is planning to betray you. Check the transfer files between departments. He's not who you think. Keanu looked up, his heart steady but heavy. What does it mean? Lena asked. It means, he said quietly, the test isn't over. He called Maya and Daniel to join them. Together, they reviewed the internal transfers, dozens of files, budgets, resource changes, equipment shifts. And then they found it. A quiet file. Small but strange. Equipment had been moved from the storage wing to an external warehouse one Keanu didn't even know they rented. The signature, Paul. Paul from archives. One of the originals. One of Keanu's oldest friends. A man who had stood with him during the first year, who once slept in the office during a snowstorm to finish a client edit. Keanu closed the laptop slowly. Call him, he said. Paul arrived 10 minutes later. His smile faded when he saw the screen. What is this? Keanu asked gently. Paul sat down. He didn't deny it. He didn't lie. He simply said, I was afraid. Keanu waited. I saw the company growing too fast. Paul continued. I thought, if it collapsed, I should have something to fall back on. So I moved some gear. Nothing major, just cameras, editing drives. I told myself I'd return them, but then Ralph came and offered to buy my silence. Keanu didn't speak. Maya stepped forward. You could have told us. Paul's eyes filled with tears. I betrayed your trust, I know, but it wasn't for greed. It was fear. I thought I'd be fired in the cleanup. Keanu looked at him long and hard. You built this place with me, he said, but you also tried to protect yourself instead of protecting it. Paul nodded. I know. I'm sorry. Keanu looked at the others. Then said, return the equipment, clean up the files, and then take a month off unpaid. Paul looked up, stunned. You're not firing me. No, Keanu said. You made a mistake, but I believe you'll spend the rest of your time here making it right. Paul stood, shoulders shaking. I will, I promise. After he left, Maya looked at Keanu. Why give him a second chance? Because someone once gave one to me, he said. The rest of the week passed with clarity. Teams rebuilt trust. Departments worked across walls instead of hiding behind them. Lena rewrote the entire onboarding system to focus on kindness and collaboration. Maya was offered a full-time position, not as an intern, but as creative lead for human impact stories. She cried when she got the offer. Keanu told her, you already earned it. This just makes it official. On Friday, they hosted a company gathering, not in the boardroom. On the rooftop. Same place they stood weeks ago. But this time, it wasn't recovery. It was celebration. A giant screen was set up. They played short films created by each department. Stories of hope. Stories of mistakes. Stories of second chances. Paul even shared a short edit about regret and repair. It ended with one line. When you sweep the floor clean, you start fresh. When it was Keanu's turn to speak, he walked to the center. He didn't hold notes. He didn't raise his voice. He just said, you all know what we've been through. But tonight, we don't look back in anger. We look forward in hope. This place is not mine. It's ours. It always was. He raised his glass to the janitors, the editors, the dreamers, the late-night warriors, to those who didn't give up. Thank you. They raised their glasses. Tears were shared. Laughter echoed. And high above the city, the light of Reeves Media shone again. As the night ended, Keanu stood alone by the railing. Maya walked up beside him. You okay? She asked. He nodded. Better than okay, she smiled. You changed everything. He shook his head. You did. They looked out at the city. Then Maya said, do you think it's really over now? Keanu looked at her. And said softly, no, it's just the beginning.